No, but listen, look, I really, really wanted to get you on because you've got a great story, right? And we started mentoring recently,
Yeah.
but I want you to kind of tell your story. So maybe give us some highlights.
Yeah.
So, for example, when did you get started?
hmm
When did you get your first rent to rent?
So I started on well just in November,
Mhm.
and around November 15, that's when I got my property,
Yep.
and that's my first rent to rent. So I've
Mhm.
never done that before, and since then we're yeah, we just completed 2 months.
Mhm.
I have managed to get a super host on Airbnb.
Which you smashed. You did it in the fastest possible
Yeah,
time,
so what they
literally.
do is they obviously assess you every 3 months.
Hmm.
So the deadline for that was December 31st. So I had to do it in 6 weeks' time
Yes.
to be able to get that title for the next 3 months.
Yep.
So yeah, that was really good for my listing.
Big achievement.
Yeah,
So since you got your keys for your first Airbnb in November,
yeah.
1 month's time, how much money did you make?
I collected 10K. Well, yeah, just over 10K.
Okay. In 1 month.
Yes, because I had a few long bookings, so
Uh-huh.
that really
And what was your highest booking?
6,400 in one
Lovely.
booking.
Lovely. From one booking alone, the first month, one booking alone, £6,400. I
Yeah.
love it. I know a lot of people worry about slow season where it comes to Airbnb, but what's been your experience?
I was worrying at one point in December, early December, because I had no bookings for January, February, or March, and everyone was telling me it's gonna, it's a slow season. So I was thinking what to do, and obviously I reached out to you, and then I did follow your advice what to do to kind of encourage longer bookings for the slower season, and I did that, and that really helped. That and now I'm fully booked. So thank
And
you.
and that was actually what encouraged you to get your highest booking to date, which was how much?
6,400. Correct.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
now you're fully booked even into February.
Yeah, January, February, and half of the March I'm fully booked.
So basically, slow season for you is going to be a breeze.
Yeah, well, now it is. Yeah.
Okay, so since we got started, what's your proudest moment?
I think my proudest moment is just getting my first property.
Hmm.
Just picking up those keys, it felt really nice. Apartment is lovely.
It's
I was
gorgeous.
very happy when I
Yes.
got that apartment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember you were smiling from ear to
Oh
ear.
yeah, I was. Yeah.
And what about the mentoring itself, right? What about my one-to-one coaching? How have you found that?
I thought it was really really personable. Like I loved the fact you were always accessible, available to help, and I know I could be really annoying at times, and I'm constantly like texting you, but it's really I never had to wait too long to hear from you. You generally call back quite quickly. So I think for me that meant a lot because even when I was deciding to take a property, I know I was finding all the excuses not to take
Hmm.
it. And I remember you like just do it. Like I just remember you pushing it, and I think if it wasn't for you, I probably would have still made excuses for longer. So yeah, I know that I think, and obviously the knowledge you have provided wouldn't know what to do. So I actually work in property, but I never heard about rent to rent before.
Hmm.
So though I got the concept, I had no idea how to do it, and that's me, someone who already very involved with properties. So for me to learn from your expertise within this area is quite fascinating, actually.
How has the experience been with mentoring and are there any benefits to the one-to-one coaching?
Yeah, I think personally, for I didn't want to do any course or like group mentoring because I know how I am, and I would have gone sidetracked or got distracted. So for me, it was very important to have one to one, someone I can reach out to, because a lot of the times some stuff I knew, I just wanted like some clarification, and
Hmm.
with the courses and groups, it just takes ages to like just have that clarity and quick question answers. So yeah, that for me that was really beneficial.
So listen, there's a lot of people that are offering mentoring for property. What was it that made you choose me?
I think when I spoke to you, I remember DMing, and then you calling me after, And then that conversation I had with you, I felt was really genuine, and things that you said were realistic, and it was you explained it really well. I just felt really comfortable. Kind of, I knew, and then also that one-to-one thing, right? You weren't offering me a course, or like handing me off to the next agent. So it was just, I thought I was actually working with a person one-to-one.
So just give us a little bit of background about yourself. What is it that you do?
I work in specialist property finance.
Okay, you might have to break that down just a little bit for us.
So basically, you provide funding for bridging loans, development, finance, like non-standard properties, and projects, like all sorts of commercial property funding, basically.
Okay, so with with a background like that in property investment, what was it, I guess, that attracted you to Rent to Rent?
I think the capital required, it was a lot lower. Though I always planned to, at some point, invest in properties. But I think for a starting point, I thought this was brilliant. I mean, it required very little capital, and then you get some experience as well. And
So, for example, some of the deals that you're obviously seeing that's coming across your desk on a day-to-day basis, what kind of capital do people need to be truly successful in the property investing game, the development game that you were just describing?
Oh, probably 100+K minimum, I would say, to start. Just, you can get funding, but you need to have some of your own capital to begin with.
So we're talking 100K plus as a minimum, you know?
For development, but I guess maybe less for refurbishment. So it depends what you're going for. But development projects are a lot more, higher end.
So what are we talking? What kind of numbers?
We're talking about 500,000. It depends how big of the project it is. For residential properties, I would say 500,000. However, you can't get all of that in funding. You need to put some forward as well.
Okay.
So that'd be your, 100K. That includes fees or whatever LTV they can't loan you, or the initial work that you need to get done. Just covers everything, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I actually have an investing background. That's what I started off doing back in 2015.
Okay.
But I think the capital requirement, it was the same thing then as it is now. Putting all of your money into one deal.
That was the thing. So I could have gone and bought one property, but that's it, right? And then I have to wait for a while.
A long time.
What
about this?
To save the capital again to buy the next property. So I could have done that, but then I thought, if I go this route, maybe I could have a bigger portfolio to begin with. And then, yes, at some point when I have enough capital, I'll go, buy my own properties.
What about timescales? So to get into the development or the property investing or, that game, we've already established you need 100+K.
Yeah.
What about timescales? So if I had invested that 100+K, what kind of timescale realistically, feasibly am I looking at to be able to get that money back and my profit?
Oh, to get your money back. I mean, it depends. So if you're going development, where you're looking at minimum 12 months, because by the time you get develop, sell, or whatever your plan is with it. But for refurbishment, maybe quicker. So you get the property, you have to refurbish. Still a few months to, do it. But then again, what's the end goal? Because selling would take longer. But if you're just refurbishing to then rent it out, maybe a little bit quicker. So it completely depends project by project, and also how big the project is as well. Like, so a building or a flat or a house or a small house, varies.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think that's what people need to know. Rent to Rent is not to say that we don't invest in properties or we have no aspirations to be able to invest in property just because we're doing Rent to Rent.
It's a great starting point, though.
Exactly. For me, it's a feeder.
No-brainer.
You can make a lot of cash flow per month, and then you can use that money to either accumulate deposits if you did want to invest, or you can use it as leverage to be able to borrow more money. So that's something that a lot of people don't have when they're starting.
But also, I think if you don't have experience in property, it's a great way to get experience in property without risking too much of your capital.
Yes.
Because if you're going straight into, buying a rental property, you have to pay stamp duty, and then you have to pay legal fees or surveyor fees, and you pay a lot of fees, and obviously it takes time to make it back.
Yep.
Before it's profit.
Exactly.
And so you can skip all of that to get, you can go that route, and that works out fine too, but it's just the time frame, as you said, to get the money back.
And like you said as well, it's about the goals, because like you've got all your money back in month one. Like, you're never going to get that going down the investing route. We're talking 12 months plus. So it's all about what you need at that point in time.
Yeah, I think different strategies, right? There's no right or wrong answer, but this is more short-term return. If you want long-term return, you can go that route. But again, as you said, and I said it too, but that you can't scale as quickly. You'll have to, unless you have already available capital to kind of scale quickly, it's another question, it's another thing, but you can't scale as quickly. Though some people, online you'd see advertise no funding required. You can start with
no money down.
No money down. You can start with that. There's always some money down.
Okay, I'm glad you're saying that, because you're a property professional.
No, yeah,
in the money lending business, and you're seeing that. There's no such thing.
I come across those ads, and it's absolute nonsense. Yes, no money down. There might be no money down for deposit. You might be getting full funding, let's say, for the property. There's always fees and legal fees. They add up to thousands.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's always some money down. There's never a no money down.
Yep. I'm glad you confirmed that.
Yeah. So, yeah, but again, I would say that neither of them are bad strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, what I work, we fund. And these are properties people are buying and developing or refurbishing or just buying to rent or whatever. They work great for those people. You do need capital.
Yes.
And I think it's a great investment, and I will go down that route at some point. But yeah, with little capital, inexperienced people, I think rent to rent is a great way to start. Just, yeah. As you know, we all like aspiring to make 6 figures with this business, and we all want to make like 10K a month profit.
That's that magic number.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to know, on behalf of all students, how long did it take you to make your first 10K a month?
To be honest with you, I actually did it in my first year. I was very hungry, very ambitious, very motivated. As I've told you the story before, I actually did 3 rent-to-rents in my first month. So that was a lot. I'm just thinking that it's a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress.
Were you cleaning yourself as well? Were you cleaning yourself?
But remember, I started off with HMOs. So that was setting up 3 HMOs within 1 month. So it wasn't cleaning like we have on the Airbnb side of things, but it was a lot. 6-bedroom houses. Ooh. That was 6, 12, 18 tenants that needed to be found. The houses needed to be kitted out. Yeah. So it was a lot of work. But of course, starting off that in month 1, and my benchmark was always to earn £1,000 profit per property.
Yeah.
So obviously, if I had 3, I was already on 3K within my first month. And I grinded hard to make sure that by the time the rent was due for each of those properties, I had tenants in all of those rooms. So it was the tenants that was now paying for the rent instead of me.
Okay. How did you get started in rent to rent?
Well, as I said before, I actually started off investing.
Okay.
I invested in property initially, going after BRR, going after flips. But as we've established, money was tied in for way too long. Yeah. And even renting a property out, I can remember making hundreds of pounds per month. Yeah. And I just put in tens of thousands of pounds into a property, and I was only making back hundreds per month. I realized that I was never going to get rich doing it that way. I didn't have the capital backing of 500,000, etc., to be able to keep scaling. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what drew me to rent. I always knew I wanted to be in property. Yeah. Even when I was young, all the rich people at that point in time, they got rich from where? Property. So it was always going to be property for me, but the traditional method just wasn't scalable. And so therefore, I came over to the cash flow side with rent to rent. You
asked me why I chose you, but I want to know, in your opinion, why do you think people choose you?
To be honest with you, I think it's because I know exactly what you're going through. I've walked your exact same journey. I was once somebody who was working, had little to no experience in property. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get rich from property, or I certainly wanted to have job replacing income. I wanted to be able to leave my job, quit my 9 to 5 by having property make that money for me. Yeah. I got educated, which is exactly what students do, right? I've been there. I've done the courses. Courses are crap. You know, they don't work. I've been in the situations where I've paid for something and then I've been upsold to a much bigger, way more expensive product at some point in time. And I just want to cut all that bullshit out, to be honest, when it comes to my mentoring. I don't want you to be passed on to somebody else who was trained by someone who was trained by someone who was trained by someone. You're working with me on a one-to-one basis, and that's what I think people need to truly succeed.
Yeah.
So listen, if you find yourself in a similar situation, you have no experience in property, but this is something that you've always wanted to do, you're interested in building a 6-figure property business, using property that you don't even own, then send me the DM blueprint.